Hello, everyone. It's Giselle from Kids Yoga Stories here, and I'm super excited to have my friend and colleague, Kira Willey. So great to have you here. Thanks for taking the time. Now,
Oh,
the reason we're having you here, Kira, is we were just talking about this. I am obsessed with children's books, like to the nth degree, and you are the musician, right? And so I think back about when I was a school teacher, when I was an elementary school teacher, I'd play music in the background or whatever. Or like right now, I'm great at Spotify, looking up different, music topics, but I couldn't make a whole yoga class around a music theme. And when I did my yoga teacher training, I did it with my teacher who was taught by Sharon Gannon and David Gannon from Jiva Mukta Yoga. And they are huge fans of having music. So I'd love for you to share. And I'm sure there are lots of people in our community who have the same issue like I do, is this sort of like, what do we do? How do we get started? So I'd love to start by talking about your background. How did you get into it? What's your passion? Tell us all about you.
sure. Yeah. I am a lifelong musician. I'm actually a classically trained violinist, believe it or not. So since the age of 5, I've been playing music. And I taught myself some guitar and mandolin and ukulele and piano and all that kind of stuff. And I've always been writing songs. So, but after college, I had a corporate job that did not suit me one bit. And I literally walked by a place. I lived in New York City at the time. I walked by a place that was sort of a quote unquote mommy and me music classes place. And they had basically a help wanted sign in the window.
Right.
I went in, got the job, quit my corporate job without thinking, by the way, of the 70% pay cut that it meant. And then I would be
Right.
able to pay my rent in New York City, but that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
And so I started teaching children in this wonderful program. And it was a music and movement program. And I noticed that the incredible engagement when the music and movement were combined. And at the same time in my life, I was just discovering my own yoga practice. I was just kind of starting to practice yoga and really feel the benefits there. And then I happened upon a certification for children's yoga teacher training. And again, it was like one of those instant, like, yep, I'm going to do that. And I went and did that. And when I started to teach as a musician, it was only natural for me to just bring my guitar. And for me, as a person who had always been writing songs and playing music, it was a very comfortable spot for me. And so in fact, my guitar was a little bit of a crutch. Like I just was kind of like, I could hide behind my guitar because this is
Yeah.
a comfortable spot for me. But what it meant was I sang my instructions instead of
Oh,
saying. And it worked so well that I was like, I did it just for comfort, for my own comfort at first, but it was so engaging and it worked so well that those first songs, and one of the very first ones was Dance for the Sun, which is a musical way to teach the sun salutation, that I made my first album out of that and haven't looked back, essentially. Like just the combination of the music and the movement is so engaging
right.
uh, that I just kept writing song after song after song after song for it. And now I
Right.
have more than I can count, 6 albums at least. Yeah. So that's how it started.
I love it. And what's so cool is I've met you in person a few times at kids
Yeah.
conferences, whatever. I actually never knew your background story, so that's really cool.
Yeah.
And I think about when my daughter was little and I would play your music. What I found distinct from your music versus other sort of toddler preschool music was that I did not mind listening to it in the background. Sometimes you're like, okay, it's a little grating on you, or it's a little bit, too much. But yours is just you're like an angel. You sing like an angel. It's a beautiful background music. And as a mom, it was calming. And my child who has a lot of anxiety and a lot of hyperactivity, a lot of dysregulation, for her, it was just so calming. So you've got that beautiful mix of not just the movement, but your music is really special as well. And so I'd
Oh,
love for you to talk about what are the benefits. So even now, jump to now, right? What are you seeing, especially with all the challenges that children are going through right now? What are you seeing the benefit of music specifically in movement?
yeah. So I do a lot of working with teachers and parents around the benefits of music and particularly combined with movement. And what I want to say is that music is so much more than something you can put on in the background, like you were mentioning, right? It's so much more than finding like a cute song that fits your theme that you can play to. No, it's a tool that if you really take advantage of all its benefits can make your life easier, like for sure. And one of the biggest ways is that it's an incredible way to get kids' attention. It's so much more engaging than talking. And there's actually a scientific basis for it. When we talk to children, and by the way, one of the things I always tell teachers and parents is you're probably talking too much, because kids are talked at all day long, right? Talk, get your shoes on, get in the car. It's time to do this, put your things in your cubby, right? Constantly. So first of all, it's just something different. That's number one.
Yeah.
But second, when kids listen to our speech, the part of their brain responsible for auditory processing lights up. When their brains are processing music, more parts of the brain are engaged, are lit up. More oxygen is flowing to the brain, more blood is flowing to the brain. It puts it literally in more of a focused state. So it's actually an incredible way to get kids' attention. And nowadays I do tons of school visits with huge groups of kids, 400 kids at a time, right? And I'll walk up, it's in a big, horribly lit gym in the elementary school. And they put 400 wiggly kids on the floor. It takes them like 15 minutes to get in the room because they're all filing in class by class. And the teachers place them just so and make them move and don't touch your neighbor and blah, blah, blah. This takes a really long time. The principal then comes up, talks to them for like 5 or 10 minutes about, let's be respectful, wildcats and blah, 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 and announcements and that, right? So by the time I get on the stage, imagine if I just talked some more. Hey, everybody, how's it going? Really happy to be here. No, I never, ever start by talking. I start with rhythm. I have a drummer with me. He just starts a beat. And instantly they're like, this is something different. Their brain lights up, right? Processing that sound, that rhythm. And rhythm, by the way, which is structure, is very regulating for children. And I instantly just do a clapping thing, clap 1 time, clap 2 times, clap 3 times quick, clap 4 times really quick, breathe. And I have all of their attention, just like that, in like 20 seconds. It is so much more effective than talking. So that's number one. I mean, I could go, and there are lots and lots more benefits. Other benefits are that it changes the energy, it changes children's emotional state, right? Which is, if you think about that great song that comes on the radio when you're driving and all of a sudden you turn it up and the windows go down and you maybe drive a little faster because you're just so fired up. It's that feeling, right? It has the ability to change our emotional state. It also unifies a group. Experiencing music together releases oxytocin, which is sometimes called the love or trust hormone. It increases feelings of connectedness, of bonding, of trust. So it builds community, right? If you think about it, music exists in every known culture in the world. And it used to be that collective music making, chanting, singing at worship, that was much bigger part of everyday life than it is today, right? And it's because of that bonding that it creates. So there's lots and lots of reasons. Like I said, those are my top 3, but.
Oh, that's amazing. It reminds me, Kira, of, you've taken me right back. Like I'm like shivering, but you take me back to the Kids Yoga conference where you were in a workshop and I was in that space selling my yoga books on the side, but I watched, so I had this cool vantage point of not being in the class, being able to see it. But again, it was the same thing. There must've been 50, 60 people in the room, right? You had people, their attention immediately. So there's these adults who traveled from all over the world to come to this conference, right? Everyone's probably tired. It's exhausting sitting in all these different rooms and being talked at all day and learning. Amazing. But you brought that energy together and you provided all those kids yoga teachers a way to make it accessible. Exactly what you're talking about. It's not just that your music is beautiful, right? But you're out there also a huge advocate for teaching everybody, even those of us who are like, I don't really know how to do this. Right. Anybody can do rhythm. Anybody can turn instructions into a song, right? It doesn't matter about, I can't sing. It's like what I hear too, I don't know how to read this book properly and do yoga. I can't practice the yoga poses because I'm not flexible, right? I can't do the music because I don't have a nice voice. No, right? You're offering a pathway for us to gain our own confidence and find our own voices, right? In the way that works.
There is no young child who cares what your singing voice sounds like.
or if you're not standing in a pose the right way.
No,
You know?
exactly. There is no young child who cares about that.
No.
And for teachers who are uncomfortable singing or need some ramp up, just start with rhythm. Literally just start with rhythm.
Yeah.
Just use call and response rhythm activities, which is just clapping or tapping, any kind of body percussion. There are so many ways to do it. It's so incredibly engaging.
Yes.
Right? I mean, yes, you're right. It's accessible to anyone. And when people tell me they can't sing, first of all, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Maybe you don't want to sing. Maybe you feel something by singing because of a message you got earlier in your life.
Right.
Somehow, right? But I don't believe you that you can't sing. You can
Right.
sing.
Or as you say, for the greater good of making a difference in the room. Like, so what? Get over myself, you know, that
Exactly.
I don't have to be Kira Willey to be able to sing the way, you know?
Exactly. And you said it's not about using my songs. I love it if you use my songs. It's about employing this incredible tool of rhythm, right? To engage children, to help them regulate, to make your life easier.
Okay, so exactly. Let's go back to that. So we're hearing the same things in our community, right? That children are having a really hard time focusing and paying attention, right? Having issues with regulation, be able to self-regulate or manage their big emotions, right? So we're hearing all the same kinds of things. That there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of stress, there's a lot going on for these little ones. So what would you say if you were to pull apart sort of 3 top tips for teachers, parents, pediatric therapists out there who are thinking, I really would like to add music and rhythm, but how do I make this happen in a way that's effective?
Great. The first one I've already said, but I'll go into it a little bit more, which is always start with it because it's very engaging, right? You and I know that you can have the greatest lesson plan in the history of the known universe, but if you cannot get children's attention, it doesn't matter, right? So you need to engage children. But what's really important about using music and or rhythm to start your lesson or your class is that you need to meet the energy where it is and then take it where you want it to go because you are driving the bus, right?
Yeah.
You're driving the bus. But we all know as grownups who do this work, how to read the room, right? You know, when you walk in or you can anticipate that they're either going to be bouncing off the walls, right? Maybe they're going to be really low energy and tired, whatever it is. Meet the energy where it is, where you want it to go. I'll give you an example. I have a song called All I Want to Do Is Dance. Here, I have my guitar right here.
Amazing.
Dun, dun, dun. See if it's in tune. Good enough. And if they're really bouncing off the walls, we need to get some of that excess energy out, right? Before we can focus, right? So, all I want to do is dance. All I want to do is dance. All I want to do is dance, 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 dance. Hold on. I'm going to do something that's going to make it sound a lot better. I learned a Zoom setting. Okay, here we go.
Oh, there we go. Dance.
Did it help? Yeah. All I want to do is dance. All I want to do is dance. All I want to do is dance, 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 dance. And I'll do that for a little while and then I'll go, all I want to do is jump. All I want to do is jump. Come on, you guys. All I want to do is jump, 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 jump. And I'll be like, jump on one foot. Jump on the other foot. Jump on 2 feet. And they're just jumping and going crazy, right? And then maybe I'll add skip. And then maybe I'll add shake, you know, shake your legs. Come on, can you guys shake faster? Shake, shake, shake. Oh my gosh, can you shake any faster? Shake, 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 shake. Freeze. And now the whole room, whoosh, like a block of ice. But what would happen to a block of ice in a warm room like this? It would melt. All I want to do is melt. All I want to do is melt. All I want to do is melt, 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 melt. And we very dramatically melt to the floor, and I slow it down and slow it down some more. And I can do that as long as it takes. And they're all down on the floor, and they're either sitting or lying down, and they're quiet. It makes a huge difference in the energy in the room. Now, if I had gone in there with the energy bouncing off the walls and tried to just play the calming, now you're working against the energy that's there, right? And you're fighting an uphill battle. So meeting the energy where it is and taking it where you want to go is tip number 1. I think you asked me for 3, and that was 1.
Yeah. No, and I think you might have to push that back.
Okay, yeah. There we go. Yeah, it is a weird setting, but it helps for music. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think what you're also speaking about is I'm thinking about the children in the room who, tend to be hyperactive, dysregulated, right? Or all children, right? They need to move to be able to be available for the next thing, to be ready to learn, right? So I think about why yoga postures were invented thousands of years ago, right? Is so that they could sit
Right.
in meditation.
Right.
So yoga, the core of yoga is the breathing, right? But we can't sit and breathe until we've moved our bodies and made them able. Children are the same. And I was talking to you about this book I'm reading right now, Stolen Focus, which is absolutely unbelievable and horrifying. And it addresses this idea that childhood is different these days, right? Remember when we were young, we used to go out and we used to just play and move and fresh air
for hours.
Right. So we just don't have it. So it's about, in thinking about what you're talking about, focus and attention. So we hear this all the time about, how do we change that environment? How do we change what we're doing before we offer the lesson, like you said? So I love that. Top tip, number one, lead with the movement to be able to then offer the
engagement, to get the focus. Yeah. Teachers I always say movement isn't a break from learning for children. It is learning.
Yeah.
Right? It is learning. It is how they are going to be able to learn, because they're not able to move their bodies freely. And you ask them to sit at a desk and follow directions, their brains are working so hard to manage their bodies and keep them still that they are neurologically not able to follow your directions.
Yeah.
Right. So it helps to understand that framework. Okay. So that's number one. So number two, I would say use music to create touchstones in your class or your school day or your session with children. And what I mean by that is structure is very soothing, especially to young children, right? Routine, rhythms of the day. We do this at this time. We do this at this time and this at this time. And for many young children, unfortunately and sadly, outside of their time with us, with teachers, right? Or with educators or with OTs or whatever, their life may be a little topsy-turvy. May not have, they may be going to different households. They may not have a set bedtime. They may not know, where they're eating dinner that night, that type of thing. Could be very, not very structured. And that structure is really, really comforting, especially to young children. And we can use music to put that structure in. Hello songs, goodbye songs, transition songs, right? And particularly the transition songs. So if you think about, as a teacher, when you often lose them, when the wheels come off the wagon, it's often transitions, right? It's getting the stuff put in the cubby and coming to the rug. That's when you, right? Or it's getting, those types of transitions. That's where you need a song. Right. That's where you need a song or a beat where you say your instructions and then everyone says, this is how we do it. And you say, da, and put your, and this is how, right? That's where you need a song or a rhythm activity. It will ease that transition. It will smooth it over. Everyone will learn it and know this is how we do it. And it will not go off the rails nearly as much. So that's number two.
And I think too, it offers something for the teacher too, right? That there's benefits for the adult in the room too, to have a moment to get themselves calm and organized, right? No matter what's going on, it brings them the benefit as much as the children, right?
100%. All this regulation that music and rhythm brings to children, it brings to the grown-up as well, right? Say when you practice it, you will get the benefits, excuse me, with the children as well. Yeah.
And we all know we can't expect children to be regulated unless we're regulated ourselves, right?
Exactly. 100%. Yeah. And the third thing I would say is end your session, your class day, your class with a music, with a song or rhythm activity that sets the tone that you want. Right. So again, like you're driving the bus with the energy and the emotional tone in the room. If you're sending children home after a long day of school, you want that to be a calming, a grounding song. If you have a yoga session in a school day and you're sending them to math, you don't want to put them to sleep.
Right.
Think about what they're doing next and how you can best ease them into the rest of their day. What is that tone you want to set? Or remember how incredibly powerful an emotional connection we have to different kinds of music and different beats and bass and all that, and how it feels in your body. And then decide what you want to use to best set the tone to send children into the next part of their day.
I love it. Amazing. So if you could think about, can you work with us on like a lesson, like
Sure.
put it all together? Because we got the benefits, we understand some top tips, right? But
Yeah.
how do we bring it home for people to make it practical for use in their classrooms or studios or homes?
Okay. Okay, great. So a really easy way to start is with a call and response rhythm. You don't need anything, right? You don't have to sing. You don't have to put on song if you don't want to. Start with a call and response rhythm. And depending on the energy in the room, again, if the energy is bonkers in the room, I would start by clapping like crazy and having them do it with me. Like really, like go really crazy. Just really, and get them doing it with you, right? You got to go a little off the rails, and that's okay, right? Be a little goofy with it. And then as you have them all, or they're engaged because they're like, oh my gosh, what is going on? This is different. Then you start to slow it down and you say, stay with me. You start to slow it down. And eventually you go like this, right? And they'll all hold like this. And you have their attention. It's so easy. You can do it the other way too. When the energy is low, you just start slow. Right. And then you can speed it up and then you can slow it down again. It's remarkable what you can really feel what it does to the energy in the room. And then, so that can just be your energy getter, or you can,
Reminds me, Kira.
Yeah.
Remember that the rain, I think, have you
Rainstorm.
The rainstorm? Yeah, we learned that in our music class in elementary education.
Yeah.
I remember doing that. So you clap your
Want
hands.
to demonstrate the rainstorm real quick?
Yeah.
Okay. So rainstorm's a great one. We rub our hands together. Listen. Shh. That's the sound of the wind. Oh my gosh. What if it rains? Do you guys think it could rain inside? Listen, tap your finger and thumb together right by your ear. Oh, yep. Oh, I hear it. What if it starts pouring? On your laps, go! It's lightning and thunder. Lightning, you clap. Thunder, jump or stop your feet. On your laps. Go, 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 go. My gosh, I hope I didn't leave my car windows down. It's pouring. And you can go that as long as you want. And then you bring it back up to your ears. Yep, still raining. I still hear a few drops. You hear them? Now rub your hands together. Make the sound of the wind. Shh, listen. It's going to blow the last of the storm away as it slows down and stops. Breathe in. Breathe out. Yeah, rainstorm. That's also written out in
my favorite. Definitely my favorite as a teacher, for sure.
And it's written out in this one.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. So I think I was going to say something else. Okay, so yeah, rainstorm's a great one to start. And in fact, there's so much you can do with that. If you have a large group of children and you have them in a circle, say, or spread out in front of you, as you're doing the pouring rain, you can tell them, when I point to you, switch from your raindrops to your pouring rain, and you go, whoosh, and it has this great sound, whoosh, like the rain going across a roof, and they're like, oh, it's really, really cool. So there's a lot of fun things you can do with that one.
Right.
And then a simple call and response that you would tailor to your age group. So just like, a lot of teachers do like right, and you respond back, but you can get a lot more complex than that, which really requires children's focus and attention. You can use different combinations, right? So tap, clap, snap, snap, or something like that, or head, or touch your toes, or whatever. Get creative with it.
Yeah.
As you go, make it a little more complex, maybe a little faster, again, depending on your age group, so that they really have to pay attention in order to give you that response. Great attention getter.
Love it. Amazing.
Yeah.
Now, looking back, because you've had this incredible career as a musician, looking back, there must have been a time, I'd love to hear a story about an impact you saw with a child or a group of children, right? That you thought, this is definitely where I'm meant to be, and this work really works, right? I'd love to hear a story.
Yeah, I can think of one boy that comes to mind. I mean, first I'll say that I see it work all the time with huge groups of kids.
Yeah.
And every time, that's really affirming that the power of this, of music and rhythm, and how effective it is, particularly when combined with movement. And typically after an assembly, I have at least one, if not two or three or four, teacher come up to me and say, holy cow, like,
right.
How did you do that?
Yeah.
Like,
right.
or I'm amazed that you held their attention.
Yeah.
My class by itself is bonkers and they've been crazy this morning and blah, blah, blah. And then you got them all to stay engaged with you. I'm like, I'm the sort of the vehicle. It's the music and the rhythm. I'm just bringing it to them. So,
Yeah.
but I'm thinking of a particular one-off class that I did in Allentown, Pennsylvania, in a low-income neighborhood in a school that I was brought into, and it was very challenging. It's very challenging. It was hard to get children to participate, and even using all my tricks and tools and all my great stuff, it's not. I will not say it's 100%, as it doesn't have 100% success rate, right? For anyone, that's just reality. So I got most of them engaged, but there was one little boy who seemed very agitated, and he wouldn't participate. And I checked in with him a few times. He wasn't being disruptive, but he seemed upset. He couldn't stop moving. He wasn't following along with what we were all doing. I had kind of gotten the rest of them by then. But at the very end of class, and I was playing some recorded music and doing our thing with recorded music. The end of class, I invited them to sit or lie in their spaces. And I said, when you're still and quiet, I'll play you a song. And I got out my guitar. And I started, and still he was kind of moving and wiggling, and the other children pretty much laid down and stuff. And as I started playing and singing, you could just see his body kind of relax and melt. And he went down on his side, and he was curled up a little bit, and he was still, and he rested, and I think he might have even fallen asleep, to be honest. And I was going to play a really short song because often, it's kind of all you can get in, but I just kind of kept repeating it for a while because I saw that he was still. I saw that he was resting. I saw that he was, getting a respite from whatever tough circumstances he had. I don't know what they were. Right. And so I just kept playing. I kept playing for as long as I thought I could start, because I could just see the effect, the positive, restful effect it was having on him. And that really, that really moved me. And I thought, well, that's a good thing that happened today.
I love that you didn't even know the situation, that you were just in tune with him, and then you just felt what he was maybe going through, whatever.
I don't know what it is yet to this day, but it was comfort. It was
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And what a powerful thing that we hold as yoga teachers, as teachers, as practitioners, right? To hold the space for children. And, and like you said, sometimes that might be the only safe time they feel that day in comfort. And it was like a blanket or like a cloud for him. That's just so beautiful.
And to just be, right? And there's so few times that children have to just be and to not have something they're supposed to be doing, or a place that they're supposed to be, or they're supposed to be sitting up straight at their desk, or they're, and without the distractions of the things, right? Well, we all know what the things are, but so literally to do nothing.
Yes. Right.
It's pretty rare in even a young child's life. Here's a few minutes you have to do nothing.
Yeah. I love it.
Be in your body.
Right.
Breathe. Yeah.
And I love too, it speaks to your own regulation, right? That you yourself use the music, right? To tune into yourself so that you can be of service to others. Right. That's just so beautiful. So what's your favorite music you're listening to right now? I'd love to know, like when you get on Spotify, like what do you listen to? What's kind of like your jam?
Oh my gosh, I'm all over the map. I love Miley Cyrus. I'm a big Miley Cyrus fan. I've been listening to early days Aretha Franklin lately, the Queen, love her. I also love hearing choirs, like groups of people singing. I'm a choir leader as well. I have a company called Choir and Company, which is a big singing is for everyone experience. I love getting people singing together. It's so, so powerful and joyful. And so I love hearing people sing. So sometimes I'll find a gospel choir or like some big, and just feeling when you're at the huge concert, right? And the hit song that you're waiting for, everyone knows the words to, comes on, and everybody in the place is singing the song. I love that feeling. I love that, right? That's oxytocin right there, by the way.
Right.
Oxytocin. So I love listening to choirs, especially like gospel choirs. It just fires me up.
Gives you the chills. I love it. Thank you so much. So how do we find you? Your books I can see sort of up behind you. You've got books, you've got CDs.
Yeah, I've got
how do we find you?
There's 2 of them. Be like a bear, piece like a panda. I have 4 board books for littles. I have 6 albums with a 7th one coming out this year. I have a 7th book coming out this year. It's all at my website, kirawilley.com, KIRAWILLEY. And if you head there, you can get free mindfulness printables that are based on these books. So that might be really of use to you. And I also thought, since we talked so much about getting attention and using music and rhythm at the start of a session or class, I have a mini course that I'd be happy to gift to your viewers, your readers, your community. You just got to email me for that one. So that's Kira@kirawilley.com. Maybe you can pop that in the notes or whatever. Kira@kirawilley.com and email me, and I will gift you that mini course. And it's all about how to get that attention using rhythm at the start of class.
Awesome. Yeah. And you have a membership too, right?
I do. Yeah. My rock and yoga membership. Yeah. It's for parents and teachers and homeschoolers and kids yoga teachers who are really passionate about bringing yoga and mindfulness and social emotional learning to children.
I love it.
There are lesson plans. I make how-to movement videos for every song. There are live trainings with me every month. There's a lot in it, and you can find that info at my website too.
Yeah, I love that, because even listening to you now, you think, okay, that sounds great, but how do I implement that tomorrow? Right. And so I think with that membership, it'll really help people gain their own confidence to have you as their kind of mentor as they go along this journey. I love that.
Yeah, we're opening the doors again on February 16th. Actually, it's kind of closed during the year, and then we open enrollment. And so that's depending on when you're watching or listening to this, it's February 16th. And yeah, I just love to support people who are bringing this work to children, because then the ripple effects can extend outward farther. And it's so important. So if you're watching this, you're doing great work in the world.
Yay.
Seriously. Yeah. As are you, Giselle, as are you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, my dear. It's just a pleasure to talk to you and connect and for you to share so generously all this information. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. All right.